Behind the Chiefs, behind the Buccaneers, the Rams, in my mind, are the third best team in the NFL. And a big reason why is because they addressed the missing piece this team had: quarterback. They were one of the most well-rounded and complete teams in the NFL last year, but we're missing the most important position. We're missing a playmaker, a game changer at the most important position in all of sports. Obviously, as we know, was Jared Goff last year. Well, now they made a trade for Matthew Stafford. And I am believing in Stafford. I think he will have a ton of success in LA with Sean McVay. Think about it. Now Matthew Stafford, really for the first time in his career, has a true offensive genius to work with. Stafford was in Detroit for 12 years. Let's look at who he was coached by in those 12 years in Detroit. Jim Schwartz, Jim Caldwell, Matt Patricia, and for a few games, Darrell Bevell. Schwartz, Caldwell, Patricia, Bevell. I'm going to go on a limb here and say Sean McVay is better than all four of those coaches. So despite the fact that he didn't have the best coaching in Detroit for most of his time, not like Jim Caldwell, but especially in terms of elite offensive minds, didn't have that. Despite that, he still threw for over 4,300 yards per season, averaged 27 passing touchdowns per game, averaged 13 interceptions per game. Oh, per season. Holy smokes, I think I said per game. 27 touchdowns per game per season, 13 interceptions per season. Basically a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, with, again, being coached by Jim Schwartz, Jim Caldwell, Matt Patricia, Darrell Bevell. He's still putting up numbers with bad offensive coaches. So now he goes to LA at 33 years old, to me, with still a lot left in the tank. And when you look at Sean McVay and his coaching ability, I think Sean McVay is going to accentuate his strengths, bring out the best in Matthew Stafford. Let's also not forget, this is the best cast Matthew Stafford will ever have in his career. In his 12 years in Detroit, do you know how many 1,000-yard rushers Matthew Stafford had in the backfield? One. 12 years. One time did a running back run for 1,000 yards. He goes now for a team that, hey, I'm not saying the running game is back. I'm not saying the running game is the way to win in 2021. But he is now going to a balanced offense in LA where it's not on his shoulders. Matthew Stafford in Detroit, it was him. The entire team was put on him. The entirety of the Lions franchise, whether they won or lost, was entirely on Matthew Stafford's shoulders. He's throwing the ball 35, 40, 45 times per game. They barely ran the ball. They were third last in rushing attempts last year. They signed Adrian Peterson to be basically their number one running back. Kerryon Johnson, Adrian Peterson, DeAndre Swift. And for the most part, Adrian Peterson was the bell cow. Now he's going to LA, where Sean McVay doesn't have the best names, all right? Cam Akers had a very solid rookie year. Darrell Henderson is a guy, fantasy-wise, I keep wanting to believe in, keep drafting in fantasy to get let down. But there aren't big, sexy names in the Rams backfield. They had Todd Gurley, cut him. But despite that, this is a team that's extremely efficient running the ball. 7th in the NFL in terms of rushing last year. And guess what that does? Takes so much off Matthew Stafford's plate. We just told you, he averaged 4,300 passing yards per season, 27 touchdowns, 13 interceptions in his 12 years in Detroit. That was an average, a yearly average. He didn't have anyone. He had Calvin Johnson, absolutely. But there's no threat of a run game. The offensive line stunk. His coaches, he was coached by Jim Schwartz, Jim Caldwell, Matt Patricia, Darrell Bevell. Everything about the Rams is better than what he had in Detroit. The offensive line, light years better. The run game, light years better. The receivers, outside of Calvin Johnson, light years better. He finally has a chance to be put in a position to succeed. And now he has an offensive coordinator / head coach in Sean McVay that knows how to put quarterbacks in the best position to succeed. He needs a guy, and Matthew Stafford to me is that guy,